Deadlifts are arguably one of the most popular exercises amongst bodybuilders engaged in one form of weight training program or another. As a workout routine, the deadlift exercise is also one of the simplest workouts to execute, and can be performed by all levels of bodybuilders including beginners, intermediate, and advanced bodybuilders. Simply put, in a deadlift you get to lift up a weight from a position of rest either on the floor, a rack, or machine for a certain number of times or repetitions. While a deadlift workout is simple enough, its effect on the body is not so simple. Deadlifts typically train multiple skeletal muscle groups at the same time, including the muscles of the thighs, hips, and back. There are quite a few variations of the deadlift workout, but one thing that they all share in common is technique. You need to master the technique of executing whatever variation of deadlift you intend performing at home, or in your local gym. Without proper form and technique, you could be at risk of sustaining avoidable injuries. So in this video, you will get to know the right technique to perform a deadlift. You will also get to know the muscle groups that deadlifts train, as well as some of the popular deadlift variations you could try out. We then end this video with some useful tips for executing a perfect deadlift that lowers your risk of incurring injuries. There are 5 key steps you can take in executing a deadlift while keeping proper form, and applying the right technique for a successful workout. However, note that the steps highlighted here are for a conventional deadlift exercise, and there may be variations that you may have to make depending on the demands of the variation of deadlift you intend performing. Step 1. Perfecting feet stance. You begin your deadlift by positioning your feet. Typically, your feet stance for a conventional deadlift should be a shoulder width apart. However, this feet stance may be different for other variations of deadlifts. You should also ensure that your shins are close to the easy bar or barbell. Also, you need to ensure that your feet is positioned just under the easy bar or barbell before attempting a lift. Step 2. Mastering torso position. To begin with a lift after getting your feet stance correct, you need to lower your torso towards the easy bar or barbell. To do this, you need to push back your buttocks with your hips and waist acting like a hinge or pivot. While in this position, grab hold of the easy bar or barbell with your hands. Step 3. Engage your core. The next step is to engage your core by ensuring that your neck and head are in a neutral position, while your hips are lower than your shoulders. By squeezing your shoulder blades inwards, you will also engage your lats. Step 4. Lifting weight by pushing through your feet. To lift the weight on your easy bar or barbell, you need to push through your feet almost as if you want to push the ground away with your feet. In effect, you are not trying to lift the weight upwards using your arms, but instead you will use the power of your feet, while leveraging on your hips as a pivot in lifting the weight. Remember to keep the easy bar or barbell close to your shins as you squeeze your glutes in order to lock the peak of the lift. Step 5. Lower weight and repeat technique. Once you have successfully accomplished a deadlift, you then need to lower the weight to the floor by shooting out your buttocks, while using your hips as a hinge, and maintaining a neutral neck and back position in the process. You can rightly refer to a deadlift exercise as a full body workout simply because you will activate multiple skeletal muscle groups of both your lower and upper body. As a matter of fact, during a deadlift, you will activate your erector spinae, quadriceps, gluteus maximus, biceps femoris, and semitendinosus or hamstrings amongst many other muscle groups. In summary, whenever you execute a deadlift using perfect form and technique, you tend to train the following muscle groups in addition to those already mentioned. 1. The adductor magnus. 2. The obliques and abdominals. 3. The latissimus dorsi. 4. The rhomboids. And 5. The trapezius muscles. There are many deadlift variations to try out, and each one of the variations available is designed to help you achieve a particular training goal. Variations also exist to meet the peculiar training limitations of individuals, and also to help enhance performance in particular sporting engagements. Here are 5 deadlift variations that are just as popular as conventional deadlifts. Number 1. Rack deadlifts. With a rack deadlift you can assume whatever foot stance you are comfortable with. However, the position of the barbell or easy bar on the rack should be at a height that you are again comfortable with. The rack deadlift enables you to lift heavy or to train specific muscle groups you identify as weak. Number 2. Romanian deadlift, RDL. With a Romanian deadlift or RDL, you assume a feet stance with your feet spread a shoulder width apart. However, your knees will be flexed outwards at about a 15-degree angle. Keep your torso neutral while effecting a downward movement for a lift by flexing your hips posteriorly. With this deadlift, the primary focus are the muscles of your hamstrings, glutes, and lower back. Number 3, Snatch Grip Deadlift. In a snatch grip deadlift, you maintain the feet stance of a conventional deadlift with your feet spread a shoulder width apart. However, rather than grabbing hold of the easy bar or barbell with a hand position that is just outside your thighs, as is the case with a conventional deadlift. However, with a snatch grip deadlift, you make use of a grip that is much wider in comparison. By using a wider grip, you will ensure the stabilization of the muscle groups of your upper back and scapula. Number 4, Straight or Stiff Leg Deadlift. With this deadlift, you assume a feet stance similar to a conventional deadlift with your feet spread about a shoulder width apart. However, make sure that your knees are extended rather than being fully locked out. Next, your torso assumes a neutral posture while the downward movement for a lift is instigated by your hips, which move and are flexed posteriorly. In the stiff leg deadlift, the primary focus is on your hamstrings and lower back. Number 5, Sumo Deadlift. In a sumo deadlift you assume a much wider feet stance in comparison to a conventional deadlift feet stance. Your arms will be positioned inside your thighs, while your torso maintains a firm upright posture to enable you to make more use of your hips and waist during a lift. No matter what deadlift variation you prefer, you can expect to gain quite a number of physiological benefits. And here's a list of the top deadlift benefits. 1. Deadlifts will help to train and activate your core. 2. Deadlifts help to activate and train your hip extensors. 3. Deadlifts can greatly minimize lower back pain. 4. Deadlifts are known to greatly enhance jump performance. 5. Deadlifts can boost bone density. 6. Deadlifts are known to boost metabolism, making them great for anyone running a cutting program. Tip 1. Figure out your strongest possible feet stance by jumping up several times and landing on the floor to see where exactly your feet would land on each occasion. Your strongest feet stance would be where your feet naturally land the most whenever you jump and land on the floor. Assume this feet stance for your deadlift. Tip 2. Make sure the easy bar or barbell is close enough to your body. You should make sure that the easy bar or barbell touches your shins when you are preparing for a deadlift. To avoid shin burns, you should wear long gym pants or high socks. Tip 3. Always assume proper form before any lift by ensuring that your spine is neutral, your knees are out and your chest is up. Avoid being hunched over while you prepare for a lift, and make sure that you engage your lats with your knees facing outwards. Tip 4. Make sure you complete a deadlift using a hinging motion that starts from your hips. Avoid making a squatting motion when executing a deadlift. Tip 5. Make sure that you don't hyperextend at the peak of your deadlift motion. You should engage your glutes when your deadlift peaks. In summary, deadlifts are a great exercise routine for anyone wishing to activate multiple muscle groups of the upper and lower body. There are many variations to choose from, including conventional deadlift, rack deadlift, snatch grip deadlift, stiff leg deadlift, and sumo deadlifts. You can mix up your training regimen to include 2 or more variations of deadlifts depending on your training goals. If you want more advice on how to go about a deadlift exercise, you can get free coaching from an IFBB pro. And you can check out the link in the description section. Don't forget that proper form and technique during a deadlift will not only activate your muscle groups better, but will also save you from injuries, so always maintain good form whilst you perform a deadlift at home or in a gym today.